I'm Nimesh Shah, CEO of Blick Rothenberg. It's the autumn budget on the 26th of November, and we're here again with all that speculation. I'm here with Kelly Grieg to talk about some of the crazy stories that have been going around in the press over the last few months. So Kelly, lots to unpack over the last few months, and we're here again. It feels like a repeat of this time last year. But what have you seen in the press around what's going to happen in this autumn budget?
I mean, I think the press have had a field day, really. We've heard so many different things that the government may be considering because they've got this 40 billion black hole that they need to fill. So how are they going to go and do it? So some of the things we've heard about is replacing the stamp duty land tax regime with a form of a wealth tax. Now, we know that that has not worked in other jurisdictions. It's too administratively unworkable, but yet it's a consideration. We've heard about an increase in the top rate of income tax, perhaps to 47% as against a 45%, which is probably going to be unpopular for the middle classes. But I think it's probably going to be a budget maybe where everyone suffers a little bit.
Yeah, on stamp duty, the issue, I suppose, for the government will be there will be a short-term hit if you abolish stamp duty and then replace it with a completely new regime. I can't see that happening anytime soon because of the short-term nature of how our politics work. It'll be a hit. We might need to borrow a bit more. It's probably too dramatic to introduce a completely new tax. But some of the things you said about 47% income tax, that's easy to do. It would break the manifesto pledge because they have tied themselves in knots about the three big taxes. So other levers that Rachel Reeves might want to pull, because again, it's 40 billion. It's the same number, coincidentally, as what it was this time last year because of low productivity, high debt costs.
So we've heard about perhaps charging national insurance contributions on rental income. Currently, that they wouldn't be charged that, or also pension income. So our pensioners may be affected. We've also heard about pension contributions, and at the moment you would get, if you're a top rate earner, you'd get full tax relief for those pension contributions, perhaps limiting that. And I think that perhaps wouldn't break her pledge, but she has been in the press recently saying that she may have to do that anyway. So I think everything's up for grabs. Yeah,
and you talked about pensions a few times there. I didn't think we'd be sat here talking about more pensions reform in this budget because we had inheritance tax on pensions last year.
We did.
Pensions is a real mess. One of the things that I suspect she's got her eye on is salary sacrifice relief for pension contributions, in particular national insurance.
Absolutely.
Because that's something like 8 billion for both the employee and the employer. And the fact that you don't have national insurance on the way out of a pension, it feels actually that's quite generous. That feels like that really could happen this time round.
I think that would be an easy win for her to do. And it's going to raise, a significant amount of that deficit that she needs to recover.
But it's another hit on businesses.
It is.
Because they need to pay 15% national insurance now. They're going to have to pay 15% on salary sacrifice contributions. Businesses are not going to be happy about another hit on their costs and their profits.
And we're seeing the sort of indirect impact on employees. So whilst she said she's not going to increase taxes for employees, what we've actually seen is because of the increasing pressure on businesses, that has resulted in people being made redundant or lack of pay rises or bonuses because the businesses just don't have the money to fund it given the increased tax liability.
Yeah. And away from businesses, we know inheritance tax has been a real moving target again. So we had BPR, so business property relief, and agricultural property relief changes last year. Annoyed family businesses, annoyed farmers, a bit of annoying pensioners as well. You don't want to really mess with those people, but that's what she did. This time round though, the 7-year gifting rule, it feels like that might change this time round.
There's been a lot of speculation. So the current situation is that if you give assets away and you survive for 7 years, then they won't be a part of your estate for inheritance tax purposes. That's known as a potentially exempt transfer for that 7-year period. But there's a lot of conversation about having a lifetime allowance, gifting allowance, very similar to the US regimes. And that is something that has been talked about. But again, going back to your point about raising short-term cash, I'm not sure that's going to bring in the goods immediately. That would have to be more of a long-term strategy for her.
Yeah, and given the big fiscal hole that we're here again with, I think these little taxes, inheritance taxes, capital gains tax as well, talk of that rate potentially going up again, because I think we got away with it last year with it only going to 24%. You're right, they don't raise that much. But one thing that does raise a lot has been frozen allowances. That's been around since 2021. I think it's dead cert that is going to be extended beyond the lifetime of this Parliament.
I think that's an absolute given. That we're just, and people don't tend to notice that so much because it's not directly impacting them. They're not seeing a reduction. Yes, in real terms they are, but they're not seeing it directly impacting their day-to-day life as much. So I think that's an easy win for the government.
Yeah. And if so, one last question, Kelly. If you stood up on the 26th of November, what would you do?
I think she's in a really tricky situation because she started her term of office making lots of deductions in terms of welfare spending and things, and she's had to backtrack from that. So this deficit, a lot of it is by her own creation, and I think it's going to be really tricky. I think what she's going to have to do is make some unpopular decisions, but perhaps look at the country as a whole and pick something that is going to impact the majority of people rather than just one subset of society, and just be unpopular to everyone for a short term to raise the money that's needed. So
you'd be a very unpopular Chancellor. And on that note, lots to talk about then on the 26th of November. We're going to have loads to cover that day. Thank you for joining me today, Kelly, and talking about some of the crazy stories that we've had over the last few months. I think we're going to get a few more before that budget date in a few weeks' time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please join me for our live broadcast from our studios in Covent Garden at 3 p.m. on the 26th of November. Please register using the link in the post.